Title: Rewire Your Mind or Stay Broke Forever. There comes a moment, not loud, not dramatic, but piercing, when a person realizes that their life isn't what it could be. Not because they lacked time, not because they lacked opportunity, but because they never rewired the one thing that decides everything: their mind. You want more. You want freedom. You want success that wakes up with you and doesn't leave when the bills arrive. But your results will never outgrow your mindset. And that's the silent war most never win. They think money is earned by effort alone, so they grind harder, they hustle, they bleed. But effort without alignment is wasted movement. Until your beliefs change, your income won't. Until your self-worth rises, your bank account won't. Until you reprogram the inner world, the outer world stays stuck. You were trained to think small, taught that dreaming is dangerous, conditioned to believe money is evil, wealth is selfish, and success is for the chosen few. And now, that software, that toxic belief system, is deciding how far you can go. You've been running on mental poverty and wondering why abundance feels so far away. But here's the truth they never taught you. The rich don't think like the poor. The successful don't feel guilty for wanting more. And the free, the truly free, didn't get there by chance. They got there by choice, by forcefully breaking the old program, by replacing limitation with intention, by making discipline a lifestyle, not an emergency response. Discipline is not a morning routine. It's not a checklist. It's war against the version of you that keeps settling. Because money doesn't respond to need, it responds to mindset. And most people aren't broke because they're lazy. They're broke because their identity is broke. If you see yourself as average, you will live as average. If you believe wealth is for others, it will be. If you think the rich got lucky, you will never study the strategy they used to get there. And make no mistake, there is a strategy. It starts with belief. It demands vision. It requires obsession with becoming more than you are, because the world doesn't pay you for your intentions. It pays you for your value. And you will only become valuable when you decide to upgrade yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. Henry Ford was broke when he imagined the Model T. Walt Disney was rejected so many times his own bankers called him delusional. Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich from a desk he couldn't afford, teaching the very principles that would make men millionaires for decades. They weren't born into wealth. They weren't handed golden maps. But they understood something most people never do. Wealth is a mindset before it is a reality. And mindset isn't something you inherit. It's forged. You build it in silence, in pain, in repetition. You build it every time you wake up early, when your body begs for rest. You build it every time you read instead of scroll. You build it when you invest in knowledge instead of distractions. You want to know the real reason most people stay broke? Because deep down, they're more afraid of becoming successful than they are of staying small. They fear what it will cost. They fear judgment, rejection, isolation. But above all, they fear accountability. Because once you admit you can have more, you also admit that you are the reason you don't. So they hide behind excuses, behind timing, behind trauma. But you wouldn't be here if you wanted average. You're here because something inside you is done. Done living below your potential. Done playing the background in your own story. Now is the time to rewire. Not later, not when it's convenient. Now. Because life doesn't wait. Rent doesn't wait. Time doesn't wait. You either master your mind now, or you get mastered by the world forever. And let me be clear, this isn't just about money. This is about what money represents: choice, control, contribution. It's about being able to take care of your people without checking your account first. It's about waking up and doing what you love, not what you're forced to do. But you don't get that by wishing. You get that by becoming. You must kill the version of you that waits. You must bury the voice that says, maybe next year. Because someday is the word poor people use to describe never. And you were not built for never. You were built for more. So if you want more, it's time to think differently, move differently, speak differently. It's time to become the kind of person success has no choice but to chase. The reason most people never change is because they try to upgrade their results without upgrading their standards. They chase outcomes without transforming identity. But the truth is brutal and unforgiving. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. And if your standards say, I only work hard when I feel like it, if your standards say, I'll figure it out someday, if your standards say, this is just how I've always been, then your life will stay exactly where it is, buried beneath rationalization, dipped in delay, sold cheap for comfort. Because the battlefield is not your bank account, it's your mindset. And most people are losing the war in silence, smiling in selfies while dying in regret. But you're not most people. You wouldn't be listening this far if you were. You're here because you feel it. That hum beneath your skin, that fire in your chest, the voice that says, you were meant for more, and you know it. You don't need another app. You don't need a lucky break. You need a decision, made in blood, not ink. A decision that says, I will no longer be loyal to my limitations. You weren't born to repeat cycles. You weren't born to inherit the mindset of struggle. You were born to break it. To be the first in your family that doesn't just survive, but builds. To be the one who rewrites the story from debt to discipline, from scarcity to strategy, from paycheck to power. But that transformation, it begins in silence. When the alarm hits and no one is watching, when you're tempted to give in and no one would blame you, when you choose progress over comfort again and again, not for applause, but because you refuse to live one more year on autopilot. That's the war, the daily battle, the unseen effort that multiplies behind closed doors. And every time you win that battle, even a little, you're not just changing your day. You're changing your trajectory. This isn't motivation. This is rewiring. This is the reprogramming of a life that refuses to stay broke, in mind, in spirit, in income. We live in a time where mediocrity is normalized, where people wear average like it's a badge of humility, where hustle is mocked and ambition is called ego. But mediocrity is not humble, it's selfish, because when you live beneath your purpose, everyone around you suffers, your family suffers, your children inherit small thinking, your community loses the leader you were meant to become. This world doesn't need more comfort seekers. It needs more warriors of mindset, people who build when others binge, who rise when others retreat, who invest in growth when others waste time on gossip, comparison, and empty praise. Success is not about beating others. It's about beating the old you, the one who gave up too early. The one who believed the lie that you're not ready, the one who settled for crumbs when they were born to feast. And to beat that version, you must train, like a fighter, like a soldier, like a king protecting his legacy. Train your focus, train your habits, train your discipline so ruthlessly that failure becomes a foreign language. You want financial freedom? Then stop saying, I can't afford it, and start saying, how do I earn it? Stop looking at wealthy people with envy and start looking with curiosity. What do they read? How do they think?